Hey everybody, Brian Boyle here, and welcome to episode 165 of The Mesh Tongue. And it is a pleasure to be here. My name is as I said, Brian Boyle. I am a physical therapist. I am a long-time runner, 28 years, many of those being competitive, some of those just taking care of you guys, some of those doing a little, a little coaching, some of that doing, nothing. Because that's how we roll. So, 165 of The Mesh Tongue, and this is my show that I try and break down things that are going to help you become a better runner. So if you are looking for something other than that, this is not the place to be, but I appreciate you being here anyway. Maybe if you just want to learn something about running, stick around and we'll teach you all about that. So, if you have questions, comments, concerns, send them to me. Send me an email, Brian, B-R-I-A-N, at company 5K. That's company spelled out. The number 5K as in kitten.com, just like the race 5K. And I will be happy to get those questions answered for you. I've been getting lots of questions, so I do appreciate that. And if you're finding some value, again, please share these videos. Subscribers are growing. Okay, that means that, there are some people interested, and I appreciate that. I'd do this even if there was one person interested, so if you're that one person, then you're in luck. I'll keep going. Now, today I want to talk to you about something that was actually suggested to me, and this was suggested to me as a topic, even though it's a little unrelated to running specifically. I know there's a lot of folks that are out there doing triathlons. There's a lot of folks that are doing, any number of events, whether they're sprint triathlons, half triathlons, full triathlons, whatever it may be. The running component certainly is added in there. And so those of you that are in that triathlon category, then this one is for you. So Justin in Austin, Texas, appreciate you letting me know about this. And oddly enough, I just had a patient that did the Boulder Full Triathlon in June of this past year, and had this exact same thing. So this is how I knew all about it and how to answer Justin. So here you go. So what happens if you have, you're riding like 50, 60 miles, we've got a full triathlon, it's going to be pushing you over 100 miles, you're going to then run the marathon right after that. I said marathon, like I was down south again, the marathon right after that. And so what's going to end up happening is that you may develop knee pain, and what I'm seeing, and this is where I had this first patient and then this second, person that says, hey, I need some help with this, Justin in Austin, Texas, and I said, oh boy, I just saw this. So I'm going to lay this out to you. Patient comes in July, had done the full try in an Ironman in Boulder. Come in, they said that they got through the first 60 plus miles, probably like 65, 66, and started getting this intense medial knee pain. So inside of the knee pain that got worse with the cycling, just continued to get worse, and hopped off the bike in the transition area, put the running shoes on, ran the full marathon, no problems, no pain with the knee, whatsoever in the marathon. Hops in the car, drives back from Boulder to Utah. That's about a 7.5, 8 hour drive, with some stops and things there. Says her knee's fine. Goes to get on the bike again, a couple days later, knowing that she was going to do the half try in August, and can't go more than like 4 miles before this searing knee pain, just debilitating. Can run, no problems running, and just really, really intense middle inside knee pain. Justin from Austin, okay, doing a half coming up here, says he's riding 60 miles just to shoot over the 50 plus for the half, and again develops this medial knee pain, inside of the knee pain, just starts hurting. Again, can get off and run, no problems. So, how do we break this thing down? Because I understand that this may be something that a lot of you are facing if you're a triathlon athlete. If you're looking to break into this, it's maybe something that you may develop at some point. So the first thing was asked was bike fit, and when was the last time they had a bike fit? My patient that was here in Utah, she had just had her bike fit prior to the race. She went back, had it refit, and the stem had fallen. So the bike seat had fallen about 2 centimeters. Now what happens when you've got your feet clipped into the bike pedals, okay, is that the problem is that you're now got this fixed chain, your foot is going around, so if your seat stem is too low or too high, the knee and the hip are going to compensate for that. So think about the thousands and thousands and thousands of times that you're rotating through that motion, and the push-pull phase of riding. Downside of it is if you've got your knee ever so slightly off to one side, or you've got the hip externally rotated, then you're going to have this issue where you're going to get this, or potentially could get this inside knee pain. If you've never had your bike fit, I would encourage you to go get your bike fit if you're having this issue. It may be as little as just putting a shim into the cleat area of the bike. You can then put the shim in there. This will be something that will angle the foot and then the knee. So when you're riding, your knee and your foot are and your hip are in a good alignment. Now, what also happened? So that was one thing. The problem was that when we looked at her hip strength, the hip strength was really non-existent. And when I think about hip strength, I'm talking about the posterior chain. I'm thinking about glutes and hip abductors. So if we've looked at some of my other videos in the past, we've talked about this. We've talked about with the hip flexors becoming an issue. She sits all day, then rides, and then runs. If you are one of those people, again, Justin, sit all day, ride, run, okay, the hip flexors are going to get tight. It does stand to reason that one side will typically be tighter than the other, just for whatever reason. That's just the way it is. So on that particular side, that left side with the knee pain happened to be much weaker in the glutes. So hip abduction, laying on her side, break that test. Hip extension, laying on her stomach, it could again just break the leg down and just push it straight down to the table. Very much weaker than the right side. So again, when we have this and we don't have the ability to stabilize the pelvis, and you've got a foot that's put into a cleat, that's then put into the pedal, and it's locked in there, what's going to move is not the foot, okay, it's going to be the knee and then the hip, which are going to articulate and try and move to stay with the foot that's fixed. So the foot's fixed, the hip and knee are going to move in order to try and keep up with that, especially as you're going through the push-pull phase of the bike. So how did we change that? If you go back to hip flexor video, I think the 39 and 41, I show you a bunch of exercises that are going to hit the glutes. So it's going to be the hip extensors, hip abductors. They're really going to focus in on those strengthening exercises. That way, as you're going through, the hip doesn't externally rotate and wobble. Okay, it has the stability to support that. The knee will follow suit. We can then throw in some quadricep strengthening exercises in the way of lunges and squats, that sort of thing. That again, they're supplemental and in design just to get you to be able to do what you need to do, which is biking and running. They're not designed to make you a stronger person overall per se. You can start adding weights and kettlebells and other things like that. That's beyond the scope of this. If you've got questions, send them to me. Again, I'll give you the email at the end here, but send those to me and I can give you some specific details. But the big thing is that when you start strengthening these, they can be done daily. So I encourage you to be diligent on a daily strengthening, especially for that side that you're having your pain in. So if it's the left side, it's left side, and right side pain, again, right side, whichever one is weaker. And then you can also do a 3-to-1 ratio. So if you want to do 3 sets on the injured involved side to 1 set on the other side just to keep balance and ratio, you can do that. And that is sometimes what we see is a best thing to do anyway, just so that you're not overdeveloping on one side, and letting the other side go. So a 3-to-1 ratio on that. Then what we did was we scraped. So we use a particular. I've talked about this in other videos before. There's GRAST and there's A-stim. Those are the branded terms. If you get on YouTube, on some of the other channels, you can see folks doing instrument-assisted soft tissue mobs with butter knives and wrenches and all that other stuff. I've got a custom tool that was designed for me. So, we go in there and we break up that fibrotic tissue, that hardened tissue around the knee. So if you have to get into a provider somewhere in the area, you can look up GRASTON, G-R-A-S-T-O-N, or A-stim, A-S-Y-T-M. Again, those are branded and copyrighted. So the trademark that you only people that are officially trained in those can use those. So find a provider in your area. There's a lot of physical therapists, a lot of chiropractors that do this stuff. get in there. If you try the strengthening, if you try the bike fit and it's just not working, I get in and then we just literally just scrape down that tissue, ice, and then electric stim. That's literally what we did. Got the patient back, ran, or did Boulder, did the half, had no problems, and is still good. Justin's coming up here shortly, so we'll see how he does. But this is, from what I understand, a pretty common problem. So if you have questions, again, send them to me. I know I'm mostly running related. I do have a strong background in cycling. There was a velodrome in Trexlertown, PA. I worked with a bunch of the physicians that were doing a lot of the early shim work with the cleats and the athletes. A lot of early collarbone work. This is, when I say early, late 80s, early 90s. On velodrome track racers where they have no brakes, and so there's lots of accidents, lots of people coming over the top of the sprint bike. So got a lot of cycling knowledge as well. So if you've got questions, by all means, feel free to send those to me. Brian, BRIAN at company5k. That's the number 5k.com. I'll be happy to answer those for you. I appreciate you. Appreciate you. Thanks for checking this out. This is a wrap of episode 165 of the Mesh Tongue. Until next time, please, whatever you do, don't go hurting yourself, but share this with your friends, your family, training partners. We'll see you again. All right.